First of all, I think that we don't have, given the environment that I think we're going to face in the Middle East, I think the first thing is we don't have a strategy at all. We're basically sort of playing this day to day.
Former Defense Secretary Robert Gates on MSNBC's Morning Joe earlier today. You heard him say the administration's day-to-day strategy, well, it's just not working. Let's continue now on Newsmax Prime. We should note reports this morning ISIS was aided by a new ally in yesterday's battle for Ramadi, specifically Mother Nature. The New York Times says a major sandstorm prevented the U.S. from providing air support before Iraqi forces dropped their weapons and decided to flee. For more, we're joined by Congressman Steve Russell, a member of the House Armed Services Committee. He joins us now from Capitol Hill. Steve, thanks for your time here on Newsmax Prime.
Oh, thank you, JD. I appreciate it.
Now, Steve, we just heard our former Secretary of Defense with his assessment. What is your take on the strategy and what's going on right now in Iraq?
Well, I think Ramadi is a big setback, not only for Anbar province, but all of the gains that we've seen in Tikrit and up to the oil fields in Beji will now be really put in jeopardy. The whole offensive and the posture to retake Mosul. Now there's a episode on the flanks that will draw the attention of the Baghdad government.
We have heard the Obama administration downplay the importance of Ramadi and the latest ISIS gains, but the former police commissioner of New York, Bernie Kerik, who also served about a decade ago as the interior minister or the interim interior minister in Iraq, saw it differently when he spoke with us yesterday. Let's listen and then get your reaction to what Bernie Kerik had to say.
It is a major defeat for the Iraqis, a major kickback for us. It's not good in any way. It motivates ISIS. It inspires them. It gives them a victory that gives them recruiting ability.
Is he right about this, Steve? Is this a big deal?
It is to the Sunni Arab because once again they will feel like maybe they've been abandoned or not accommodated. And you will have tribal elements that are willing to fight. We saw that with the Jabberi tribesmen in Tikrit. But unfortunately now, as they look at Ramadi, it becomes a big problem as they're trying to build a coalition to go to Mosul. And now they have to deal with this on the western flank of Baghdad.
Steve, we appreciate your assessment. I just want to tell our viewers we're sorry for a couple of audio issues, but we're hearing what you have to say. And of course, in television, in addition to hearing and talking about events, we can also see some images that are very, very disturbing. We continue to see images of child fighters. Do you believe we are going to see more and more kids on the battlefield taking up arms for ISIS?
I think a lot of it is in propaganda terms. I think it's important to look at what happened in Ramadi also in those terms. They claimed early on when they entered the city, getting close to the government offices, that they had actually gained the city. That was not the case. But if you were isolated from communications, getting spotty reports defending Ramadi, and now you think it's fallen, then you would fall back and regroup in different areas, and that's part of what we've seen with Ramadi itself. In terms of Ramadi's threat on Baghdad, I don't think it's huge. In terms of the overall campaign with ISIS, I think it makes it more difficult to have all of the momentum. And what we see in the push towards Mosul, it has been somewhat set back. But if I were to say, what do we do from here? Don't react to ISIS. Set our own terms, set our own strategy, have our own initiative, and let them react to us, and also react to what Baghdad is doing with the lead. If we play defensive every time.
So, Steve, we heard the sandstorm precluded U.S. airstrikes. Are we going to get those airstrikes going again, or will they be more, quote, pinprick strikes? And will that prompt the whole notion again of American boots on the ground?
I think that you are not going to solve this fight with air power. Many analysts have said that from day one. But the question remains is how do you do it on the ground? Do you do it with Iraqi forces, with government forces, with tribal coalitions aiding them? The Kurds have shown that you can put up a fight and not only defend territory, but take new territory. We can see that with the Sunni Arabs as well. We saw that in Tikrit. But the real issue now becomes, what do we do with the limitations that the administration has put on itself, and how do we make that work? I am encouraged by the raid that we saw in Syria going against their leadership and their finances. This is very key. I would like to see more things like that, and I think we will if the intelligence is good, as it was in this case, and that will have an impact. But unless you have formations on the ground to retake these government facilities.
We understand, Congressman Steve Russell. We thank you so much for your time and your insights, and we'll be back.